I thought Ipudaka, we have done so many different topics and so many different teachings of Baba, and we've been doing it for several months now. Backbiting, Nijanga, as a topic, interestingly enough, uh, there's not too much of literature, okay, available of Baba's thoughts and teachings in this space about backbiting. I think Lord Meher has some sections, and then people who have written other books like Kitty Davis, they keep mentioning. However, during the life of the Mandali members and all the Baba lovers, right, living in the Mehrabad, Mehrazad, and also all other followers living in Pune, etc., it is said that Baba used to frequently, very, very frequently, tell people not to slander and not to backbite. Right? It's such a important topic that we just did the prayer just now. The repentance prayer as well talks about several points, right? I mean, of hypocrisy, slander, backbiting. So it comes in that prayer as well. So it is a very, very important. So Baba used to very frequently mention to a lot of the Mandali members, his lovers, don't indulge in backbiting. So let's get some more insights in terms of why Baba used to say this, what he used to say in this particular topic. It will not be a very long presentation. The next 15 minutes, maybe, or 20 minutes maximum, I will talk about it. And then we can have a discussion after that. The backbiting, I don't know. It's one of the toughest thing. It's almost as tough as ego. To say that I don't have ego, it's not easy to say. Our ego keeps coming in the way. This activity of backbiting is very, very, at least in my own personal experience, it's one of the toughest areas to avoid it. Okay. Be it our workplace, be it within our families context, be it amongst our friends, society, some way or the other, we end up doing a lot of this activity. And Baba said this is one of the worst activity. We'll talk about that. Okay. So let me first give you a quick summary, if you wish, about backbiting, as Baba was from Meher Baba's perspective, the way he was teaching and talking to his followers and lovers. Of the three most important things to be eliminated before attaining God realization: greed, lust, and backbiting. Backbiting is the worst and the most disastrous. It is said. This is I'm talking about what Baba used to mention. Okay, this is not an interpretation. This is the various points in time Baba has mentioned this. One can overcome greed and even lust, though both are very hard to get rid of. But by far the worst and the most difficult habit of all to eliminate is that of speaking ill and trying to find faults or flaws in others. And if I reflect upon myself and my own life, I really agree with this point, Armand. I really couldn't agree more uh, uh, on this particular point. It's very, even the smallest chance we get, we tend to get it. And I can tell you this with, in all honesty, that I enjoy uh, that activity also. I'm just being very honest. Ninna, we had some sort of a office get together party. We got together after a very long time because of COVID and after 45 minutes of the general talking, how are you, even me, ultimately the topics went to what? Mostly backbiting. Either it is office related stuff about bosses, about corporate, about this and that, or politics, or whatever, right? And we all enjoyed ourselves. So it's an enjoyable activity, but it's, according to Baba, one of the worst activity and most difficult activity. Okay. I'm just taking a quick pause. Is it okay, Mai? Am I going too fast? Is it okay so far? Audio is okay? Everything fine so far?
You're doing very good, Pavan. Take your own time.
Okay. All right.
Go
Jai Baba.
if slower, it would be better even.
Okay. Ippudu, let us first of all understand what is backbiting, to understand what is backbiting as explained by Baba. Okay. And some of us may have read this, but let me just think it's as simple as this, according to him, right? Suppose Mr. A says to Mr. B, right? Mr. C has not come, he's a bad man. Okay. So Mr. C is not over there. There are two people, A and B. They both are talking to each other. C has not come for whatever reason for that meeting. ఇప్పుడు ఈరోజు we are here over here. We are all over there. I don't know who is not there. Prasanna is not there in this particular meeting. And we can objectively say Prasanna is not there. Or I can say somehow, Prasanna, I don't know, somehow he's not making this a priority. He's getting involved in other activities. This is not important for him. And a comment pass, చేశాను, all right, about his absence in this particular meeting. Okay. So, in this particular scenario, Mr. A has told this directly to Mr. B. And I have told you this particular negative thought or negative point about Mr. C, Prasanna in this case. Okay. Consequently, there is an exchange of sanskaras in an indirect way between Mr. A and Mr. C. Okay. There is an exchange of sanskaras. Okay. So some of the bad sanskaras has come over to me when I am talking ill or bad about C. In this case, Prasanna, that I'm taking as an example. And in a very direct way between Mr. A and Mr. B. So all of you who are participating in this conversation where I am talking something bad about Prasanna, although you may have not said anything, right, may have not encouraged the thing, but you're sitting and you're enjoying this conversation, you're having fun with what I'm talking about in this particular negative conversation about Prasanna, then equally you are also a participant of this backbiting activity. Even it is like a what do you call, like a smoking and passive smoking. Think of that as the analogy, right? The person who's doing the backbiting is the smoker, but the person who's in the presence of this person is also passively smoking, inhaling those fumes and matter. So you are all as well impacted in this backbiting exercise. Thus, the sanskaras of slandering are of two types, direct and indirect. Thereby, the minutest sanskaras are created, and for millions of births, it is difficult to be freed from. I want to spend a little time on these sanskaras, and I'll be talking about it in the subsequent slides as well. So, from what I have read about this topic, I'm not an expert in sanskaras, Kani. What I read is that sanskaras are of different types. There are different varieties of sanskaras. And according to Baba, the sanskaras that get generated out of a backbiting activity are amongst the worst. They are the most stubborn sanskaras. They're the most sticky sanskaras anamata. Dani neutralize cheyadam, it is very, very difficult compared to the sanskaras created with other things, including greed and lust and these kind of things. They have sanskaras. The sanskaric footprint of backbiting is the most sticky and stubborn anamata. To unmanifest them or to neutralize them takes several births and deaths, and it's very, very difficult to kind of neutralize. So that is what Baba has told about in the context of backbiting. Okay. So, as I said, interestingly, as much as Baba Garu used to keep telling all his followers, don't indulge in backbiting, don't indulge in backbiting. Funnily enough, the amount of literature when I was trying to research this topic, I felt was little limited on matter. Okay, in this area. Kani, let me give you 5 key takeaways, 5 key elements of backbiting that Baba has shared that I want to share with you all. Okay, and I thought each of them are very interesting, very insightful. So first thing, Baba garu em chepparante, clearly and categorically mentioned, do not defame or vilify others, even if it might be true. You know, There is an analogy mentioned. It's like the analogy is to what Jesus Christ during his lifetime mentioned, that if somebody, slaps you on one cheek, then you show your other cheek, right? Now, the meaning of that, right, from how Baba explained is basically we should not really indulge in defaming people, slandering people, talking bad about people, criticizing people, such that it causes hurt to those people. Baba is not saying that do not criticize. Sometimes we have to constructively criticize people for a better good, for a better, bigger picture. So Baba is not saying don't do that. But when the intention is to be rude to somebody, or the intention is to spread hatred, or the intention is to insult or humiliate somebody, or the intention is to make somebody look in a very bad light, Baba categorically said, do not indulge in such activities. Okay. So that was one very key takeaway. And then backbiting, obviously, is a very popular activity which does exactly that. Okay. It puts somebody else who's not in the presence of that conversation in a bad light, in a negative light. Okay. That's backbiting. Sanskaras created due to backbiting. Sorry, let me. I'm sorry. So in this context, what Baba said, right? Going back to I'm just going back. Sorry if it's confusing you. So in the context of this, Baba clearly and categorically mentioned, do not defame or vilify others. Okay. This is what Baba said. The habit of criticizing our fellow beings is a bad one. At the back of it often lies a self-righteousness, a conceit, and a false sense of superiority. Sometimes it indicates envy or a desire of retaliation. It's so beautifully captured in this particular saying. The reason why we have the habit of criticizing our fellow beings, fellow human beings, or friends, or whoever, acquaintances, is because somewhere in the backdrop, either we feel, oh, we are something great, or something, we are always right. That kind of feeling propagates that kind of thing, that, oh, I am right, that person is wrong. I am great, that person is a useless fellow. That kind of a thing, a false sense of superiority. Or sometimes it is, Okoksari, there is envy or jealousy on somebody, then we want to put that other person down. Or they've pricked our ego in some way, then we want to retaliate and give it back to them. Okay. But Baba said, in spite of all these feelings and thoughts and emotions we have within us, that of superior, false sense of superiority, or to retaliate with somebody, refrain from doing it. Refrain from indulging in that activity of slander. Ani clear ga direction icharan mata Baba garu. The next takeaway is the sanskaras created due to backbiting and slander are the most deep rooted. I just spoke about that point, and I'll share with you what Baba spoke about it. But essentially, this is the basic idea, that the sanskaras that are created due to backbiting and slandering other people are the most stubborn sanskaras. Okay, let's talk. Let's see what Baba has to say. Sanskaras are of 7 colors. Sanskaras of lust and anger have different colors, and the sanskaras created by backbiting are still deeper. We do not know them as such, but they are some of the worst type and nearly impossible to eradicate. Viruses, the sanskaras are being compared to viruses over here. Viruses are very subtle germs and invisible, but they are the most troublesome. So that's another point. Passive involvement in backbiting is equally harmful in our sanskaric cycles. Okay. This is I gave the example of smoking and passive smoking. It's equally harmful to the passive smoker. Similarly, passive involvement in backbiting is equally harmful to us. Yeah, according to Baba. Kani, there is a question which I'm just going to put it up, and we can, if required, if you think it's important, we can discuss it after the session. Because ఒక్కొక్కసారి in our lives, it's almost impossible to avoid passive involvement. అంటే నేనున్నాను ఇప్పుడు in my office, we have to discuss other people sometimes. It's part of the job at times. Or if somebody is frustrated with some other boss, if he comes and talks to me, I also need to give my shoulder to for that person to cry on, right? Because the person is frustrated about something. He or she really wants to share some frustrations. Kada? But on the one hand, I want to be kind to that person. But on the other hand, actually, I am becoming a passive participant to some backbiting because that person is actually backbiting about a third person who's not present in this conversation. So, how do we deal practically? Maybe it's a conversation, if at all, if we feel as a group we should discuss it, we can discuss it after this presentation. But what is very clear is passive involvement in backbiting has sanskaric, uh, sanskaric impact. Okay, this is to me one of the best takeaway for me in my research on this topic. Backbiters are your friends as they take over our bad sanskaras to themselves. If you remember the example, how backbiting was defined, person A, person B are together, they're talking about person C in a bad way, then the even if it is true what they're saying, if person A is saying something, actually it is true what about that person C. That person C is actually Donga Vedava, for example, if that's what he's calling him. But you, person A, is taking up the negative sanskaras from person C and taking it up on himself. So now I always get very upset when I heard that somebody was talking negatively behind my back. Later on, when I hear about it, I used to feel extremely, extremely unhappy, sad. Then it used to create negative relationship with that person. And oh, this guy told something bad about me and it impacts my relationship with that person. But hey, what Baba is effectively saying is these people are your friends because they are constantly talking negative about you and they are taking up your sanskaras. So when you really, really take the topics of backbiting, ego, any topic, ultimately, actually what Baba is saying is the solution for all of that is love. If you really think about it, love is the main solution. I'm sorry, my little baby has suddenly woken up. Just give me 1 second, Jay Baba. Sorry, 1 second. Hey, come. Okay, okay, okay. I have a meher in my hand. Okay, sorry. Let me go back. Do not be angry, but be pleased with one who backbites you, for thereby he renders service to you by diminishing the load of your sanskaras. Also, pity on him, for thereby he makes the load of his sanskaras more burdensome. So, you understand? So, that's what I was talking about just a while earlier. Okay. If you point out the shortcomings of others lovingly without any feeling of hate or animosity, it is all right. So ultimately, my understanding, what Baba is effectively saying is that it's your intention that matters. ఇప్పుడు నేను నేను పూర్తిని ఇక్కడ ఉన్నాము, వీఆర్ టాకింగ్ సంథింగ్ అబౌట్ ఆహన్. హీస్ రియలీ నాట్ ఫోకసింగ్ టూ మచ్ ఆన్ హిస్ స్టడీస్, చాలా లేజీగా అయిపోతున్నాడు, వీ హ్యావ్ టు డూ సంథింగ్ అనే కాన్వర్జేషన్ అయిందన్నమాట అనుకో. ఇస్ దట్ బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్? నో, బికాస్ our intention, although we are talking something negative about Ahan, but our intention is not to put Ahan down. Quite the opposite. Our intention in this situation is to give Ahan the best opportunity to be successful, right? In whatever topic we are talking about. So, if you understand what I mean, it is the intention that is what Baba is talking about. Serena? So, that's one important point. Okay. Three more points that I would like to think. Okay. Love Alone Prevails అని ఒక book, Kitty Davis has written that book. And in that book, there are various experiences that are shared. One of the things was some of the Western ladies, followers of Baba, who were living in Mehrabad or in India. Okay. And Baba had once, a group of people were living in the house on Mata. And Baba told these people that for the next 1 year, you have to avoid backbiting and criticism completely. 1 year, you have to keep being aware when you do it, and you have to eliminate this for 1 year అని చెప్పారనమాట. So those ladies wrote a letter to their friends in the US. Okay. And this is a quote from that letter. The rule to stop backbiting and criticism was very difficult at first, but now it is working more or less smoothly, and everyone is much happier. So my key point over here is we don't know. I don't know what it is not to backbite. I'm telling you, Kada. I'm not. On a daily basis, either something or the other happens, which is related to backbiting. But clearly, if we are able to develop this practically to at least reduce this activity, it will create less stress and more happiness and more love in our lives. Okay. I spoke of another point not covered. I was not able to understand what Baba's position was. Is what do we do when others are backbiting? Em cheddam, em cheyali? How do we manage? Because otherwise, I am getting sanskaras. How do I avoid it? I could not get any particular topic. But I think what Baba has constantly encouraged all of us is awareness is the best way to do lesser and lesser of backbiting. Ante, it's second nature to us, we will do it. But every time we indulge in it, we need to make ourselves aware. No, I am backbiting. Let me stop. Let me not talk negative about this person. Okay. Even if we are sitting together and talking about Donald Trump, of what a terrible fellow he is, and there is a lot of bitterness in us when you're talking about Donald Trump, that is also backbiting. That is also considered backbiting. Okay. Just to give you an idea. So with that, that's sort of a quick summary in terms of what I have read. Clearly, this is one area which I think practically we can try and apply in our lives to reduce backbiting, to try and make ourselves more and more aware when we are doing it and trying as much as possible to reduce it, because then that reduction will get replaced as love for our fellow human beings. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you. Ante
Excellent presentation. Excellent presentation, Pavan.
Yeah,
Even though
thanks.
looks like you have gained some experience of giving the same talk 2 times, you are much more thorough. That was really good. I think it needs a lot of discussion. Okay, we will
Absolutely.
go through first. Gautam, are you there, Gautam? Unmute, Gautam.
చెప్పండి చిన్న ఉన్నా
ఉన్నావా? బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్ గురించి ఏమైనా చెప్తావా? బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్ ఎవరినైనా చేస్తావా లేదా యూ డోంట్ బిలీవ్ ఇట్ ఆర్ యూ బిలీవ్ ఇట్ ఆర్ వాట్ యూ థింక్?
It was really good. Yeah, I believe that backbiting ante one thing is someone is talking about someone else, obviously he will be talking about us also when we are not there. So ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్ backbiting చేసే వాళ్ళతో కొంచెం కష్టమే. అండ్ వాట్ ఐవ్ సీన్ ఇస్ థర్డ్ పర్సన్ మీద బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్ చేసే వాళ్ళతో కూడా పీపుల్ టెన్ టు బాండ్ ఓవర్ నెగిటివ్ రిలేషన్స్ అన్నమాట. అంటే ఒక కామన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ ఉంటాడు, ఆడ మీద తిట్టుకుంటూ వీళ్ళిద్దరు బాండ్ అవుతా ఉంటారు. ఫ్రెండ్షిప్స్ డూ బాండ్ ఓవర్ నెగిటివ్ దిస్ వన్ ఆల్సో. ఇన్ఫాక్ట్ చెప్పాలంటే కామన్ గా గుడ్ పాయింట్స్ ఉండే దానికన్నా ఇలా నెగిటివ్ పాయింట్స్ మీద ఎక్కువ బాండ్ అవుతా ఉంటారు, బాండ్ అవుతా ఉంటారంట ఎనీ టూ హ్యూమన్స్. ఇట్ ఈస్ యూజువలీ దట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఇన్ ద వరల్డ్, బట్ దట్స్ ఓన్లీ ఎ డిఫరెంట్ పాయింట్. బట్ యా, వాట్ Pavan said is really good.
నేను కొద్దిగా ఇచ్చేయాలి. పవన్ ట్రంప్ గురించి మాట్లాడాడు, మరి మాట్లాడేది బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్ అవుతుందా?
అవును, my in fact ఒకసారి there is an incident.
పర్సనల్ గా మనకి పర్సనల్ గా ట్రంప్ గురించి తెలియదు, గురించి మనం సమంగా లేకపోతే డిస్కస్ చేస్తాం. అంటే మనలో మనకేమైనా వచ్చిందని నేను అనుకుంటున్నాను.
కాదు, ఐ విల్ మెన్షన్ 2 points అన్నమాట దాని గురించి. యు ఆర్ రైట్. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ జస్ట్ హ్యావింగ్ అన్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ డిస్కషన్ అండ్ సేయింగ్ దట్ the economy of US is not looking good. COVID is becoming quite a terrible. It's going out of control. Maybe the governance can be better అని అలాగా objective conversation జరుగుతుంటే probably it's not backbiting. I don't know. Others can also please give their point. But if it is with the absolute hatred about Trump that the discussion is revolving around, then that would be considered backbiting. Okay, so that's number one. Second point, it actually happened, and Amma might give more details on this point. Oksari, so Baba, in Mehrazad, in the mornings, he used to sit in that chair, that in Mehrazad, the sofa, the chair, his chair, and all the Mandali members used to gather around him. So once this is actual incident that happened, that they, and then sometimes they used to take the newspaper and read some headlines or articles in that time. One of the Mandali members, Urich or somebody. So once somebody brought up some topic about something, maybe some war or I can't remember what topic it was, but negative topic. And then the Mandali members started having a discussion, very negative discussion about that topic and matter. Then Baba actually stopped them and said that even this is considered backbiting, so you should stop talking about this. Ani, historically, this has happened. So that's my view. Maybe somebody else might have a different view or another view. Adi.
Yeah, I think
ట్రంప్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతూ ట్రంప్ పాలసీస్ గురించి మాట్లాడుతూ క్రిటిసైజ్ దట్స్ నాట్ బ్యాక్వర్డ్. కానీ ట్రంప్ ఎవరు కాబట్టి హిస్ పాలసీస్ ఆర్ బ్యాడ్ అని అనడం మాత్రం ఇట్స్ బ్యాక్వర్డ్. సో వి డోంట్ ఆబ్జెక్టిఫై, వి డోంట్ రియల్లీ అటాక్ ద పర్సన్ ఇన్ పర్సన్ అటాక్ చేసేదానికన్నా ఆ పాలసీస్ అటాక్ చేయడం అనేది his ideas.
Another point is, whenever there is a tinge of hatred in our discussion, in our comments, that is our problem. That is not Trump's problem. That is not the world problem. We can criticize Trump, as they are saying, as Gautam and Pavan are saying, objectively. So many people are dying, and he is not doing anything about it. That is one thing. The second thing is, how much hatred are we incorporating my own self in there? That is the problem. But anyway, let us not go to Trump. Let us learn what is the backbiting. Next, Kiran, you want to say something, Kiran?
Sure. Gone. Very good, very simple, very practical also. The message. I think in your whole presentation, Pavan, I don't know if you used the word gossip in there, or maybe you did and I didn't hear it. But I think
I didn't use, Kiran, the word gossip.
Yeah. But I think there's that word gossip also goes with slander and backbiting, because gossip seems like mindless, banterous chatter, but it has an element of negativity to it usually. So I think that fits in with backbiting. So that is one thought that came into my head. The other thing is similar to what Gautam was saying. If somebody is backbiting or gossiping, then you can be pretty sure that when you're not around, they're probably talking behind your back also, right? So you got to be wary of that. And similarly, if you're doing it, others will sense that in you. So I think maybe that's where the samskara bit comes in from a practical standpoint, in terms of how you carry that through. One more thing I was thinking when you were presenting is, I think social media has greatly enhanced the avenues for us to backbite and gossip. And whether we realize it or not, just the messages that go around in our multiple WhatsApp groups or Facebook or what we read is greatly enhanced the world's capacity to backbite. And that is just another thought that went through my head. But I think fundamentally your presentation was very good. I think very simple, practical thing is don't backbite. How do you stop backbiting? You stop backbiting. There is a pleasure in it, and you got to watch out for it. Yeah. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Yeah. And the first step is, I think, to acknowledge also. Acknowledge that we do it. Something like that. Sorry. Yeah.
Pavan, ఇప్పుడు ప్రసన్న గురించి నువ్వు చెప్పావు, లేడు ఇది బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్ ఎలాగవుతుంది? ఇది నాట్ హేటెడ్ కానీ ఇది ఉంటే అది నీకు బ్యాక్ బైట్. నీకు యూఆర్ హ్యావింగ్ లవ్, ప్రసన్న అంటే లవ్ ఉంది. జస్ట్ నువ్వేంటంటే నాట్ క్రిటిసైజ్ చేసినా నాట్ బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్ అవ్వదేమో అని నా ఒపీనియన్. నీ ఇంటెన్షన్ ఏంటంటే నీకు హేటెడ్ లేకపోతే యాంగర్ ఇటువంటి ఏం లేదు ప్రసన్న మీద. అంచేత నువ్వు ప్రసన్న గురించి ఆప్షన్స్ లో మాట్లాడినా అది బ్యాక్ బైటింగ్ అవ్వదు నా ఒపీనియన్.
అంటే it depends on what, అంటే it depends on what I spoke about Prasanna. Let's take this example again, I'm just giving you my view. Prasanna ledu, okay, let's take the topic. Last two weeks he's not there, okay. Now I can think maybe he has surgeries, he's very busy. It's a very busy time for him. Some surgery, something more important is there. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it in, and I could think that way, right? Second ఏంటంటే Prasanna, I'm thinking in my mind first of all that Prasanna always like this. He's doesn't put this thing into priority. He's only interested in he's partying, doing something else. ఏదో అని some negative thought about it. Then in front of you I say, Prasanna enti, I try to do a Narad Muni thing and try to create a gossip around it. Why Prasanna doesn't turn up around this? And if I do that, then that would be a backbiting, kada, is what I'm thinking. So it's the intention. If my intention is negative, then it is backbiting. I think that's the very fundamental thing on my intention.
With what attitude we are talking about Prasanna, that is the thing. Can we talk the same thing in his presence? Or can we not talk in his presence? That makes a difference.
Presence లో కూడా అదే మాట్లాడతాడు, బ్యాక్ పైన మాట్లాడతాడు. That's not a backbite.
నువ్వు చెప్పింది రవి, నువ్వు చెప్పావు కదా ఇప్పుడు. ఐ థింక్ దట్ ఈస్ ద కీ పాయింట్ కదా. ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు సే ద సేమ్ వర్డ్స్ ఇన్ ఫ్రంట్ ఆఫ్ ద పర్సన్, ఆన్ ద పర్సన్స్ ఫేస్, ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్స్ అ క్రిటిసిజం, if you're able to say it to the person's face, then it's not backbiting because there's an openness to it also, no?
Can I come in? Just Pavan?
Yes, Chanti Mai. Yes,
ఇప్పుడు ట్రంప్ అనుకో కొన్ని క్రోర్స్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్ వచ్చేస్తుంటారు కదా, అప్పుడు ఆ సంస్కారాస్ అన్ని వీళ్ళవన్నీ ట్రంప్కి వెళ్ళిపోతాయా? ట్రంప్ సంస్కారాలు వీళ్ళకి వచ్చేస్తాయా? అదొకటి. బికాస్ కొన్ని పాయింట్స్ ఉన్నాయంటే వీ కాంట్. ఎంతోమంది, ఐ థింక్ మ్యాక్సిమం నెంబర్ 1 అనుకుంటుంది వరల్డ్లో. There are so many deaths, yet he was taking it very easy. చాలా ఈజీగా ఇచ్చేస్తున్నాడు నాకు. He was not wearing even this thing, mask. That is the fundamental. సో అటువంటిప్పుడు మామూలుగా ఇంటెన్షన్ ఎట్లా ఉన్నా కూడా మొత్తం ఎంతోమందికి ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి, ఎంతోమంది ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతున్నారు కాబట్టి, suppose if you criticize him or if you find fault with him, does it come under backbiting?
If you're doing it with the negative intention, according to Baba, it is backbiting. It is actually. That's my understanding. That is my interpretation. I don't know if anybody has a similar or different interpretation.
Absolutely. How we already talked about it in a few minutes ago. Are we using our own? Forget about Trump. Let's put Trump aside. We are the one who are talking. I'm the one who is talking about Trump. With what attitude am I talking about Trump? Am I using my own hatred for him for not being a good president, or am I criticizing his policies? How I'm doing the criticism, that make a big impact on my own sanskaric patterns. And for sure, he is getting all the good sanskaras, and he is using up all the bad sanskaras. In the next janma, I'm sure he'll be a very good person, excellent person, because he has got this leadership qualities. He has got this attraction. People get attracted to him. All this is he gained in the last future. but his attitude, his intentions are he's spending all the bad sanskaras. Prasanna Chedu, don't anybody talk about Prasanna now.
ఇంకోటి అంటే
ప్రసాద్ యాక్చువల్లీ వచ్చాడా?
వచ్చాడు, ఉన్నాడు, ఎవరు మాట్లాడకండి.
ప్రసాద్ is generally a very good person,